You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Are you ready? I'm saying, are you ready?
Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Right, Chris.
All right. Good evening, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night, goodbye, hello. Welcome along wherever you are in the world. It is very nice of you to join us. And we are very grateful. Whether you're watching live on YouTube or listening in via our TalkSport podcast. I hope you are all well. We were going to be doing England, North Macedonia tonight, and I think that's probably why Brad's joined us, because it's North Macedonia. But no, to be quite honest with you, I think the first half of the Malta game, and I thought I can't do two shows on covering England. So that's gone out the window. We're doing this instead. Let's Talk Leicester, our normal Monday night debate show. I suppose it's about time a decently sized club got what was coming to them. Everton finally have. Everybody's sort of reasonably happy apart from Burnley. And you know you're having a bad season when there's a team that's deducted 10 points and you're still below them in the league. Sorry, Dan, if you're watching. But was it right? Was it enough? Are we going to sue? Should we sue? Shouldn't we sue? Loads of questions to get through tonight. And I've got to say, I've got a couple of people that are here, a couple of experts that are going to help me try and answer those questions. Weren't available, so we got Dave and Brad instead, and they'll be here straight after this.
The TalkSport Fan Network is the ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts,
including Leicester Till I Die, independent analysis and reaction for the Foxes faithful.
The TalkSport Fan Network.
Unbeatable club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Follow the podcast on the TalkSport Fan Network.
Indeed, and I'm just going to say a very quick hello to Highfields. He says a jolly good evening. He's obviously been on the glue wine already. How are you doing, Highfields? And Andrea says, so you're not watching the England game then? No. No, we are not. Not after the other night. Hopefully we got Brad there. Hopefully his camera will kick in a second, and we've got Dave. Welcome along, gentlemen. Missing proper football, Dave?
Yeah, I'm terrible. I can't get excited about these qualifiers. I really can't. Internationals, I just can't. You know.
You like a good old sausage to get you excited, don't you?
Well, and it takes more than that nowadays, I think. But yeah, I used to love watching England play. You know, when it wasn't live in the old days. It was on in the evening, but it was good fun. You know, they had. I don't know. It's just different. But now it's so boring. Was it France?
Brad, was it France 14? Gibraltar somebody 0? I think it was Gibraltar 0 the other day.
Yeah, which is about as impressive as Man U's five-a-side team going to take on the OAPs down the road and scraping a 1-0 win. It's not that impressive, you know. Man U are a weakened side. The old lady shouldn't lose 1-0 to them.
Hey!
But it's just these internationals. I'm with Dave. Yeah, there you go. There we go. That was half fist bump, half punch. So it's up to you how you take it. But no, I'm just a bit like Dave. Growing up, I used to enjoy it. Friday night, Channel 4, ITV, Channel 5. It didn't matter. You'd have your food. England would be on. I didn't really know back then. I was only knee-high to a grasshopper. I was much younger than you, Per. So I didn't even know if it was a friendly, a qualifier, or it was a major tournament. But it was something that was kind of partake of the international kind of off-season or whatever it was, if you will. Now it's just a load of old crap. I mean, Gibraltar conceding 14. I mean, the only thing is, England, I'm surprised you're not doing the England game, Chris. I really am, because they did beat the European reigning champions, Italy, and thus knocked them out of the World Cup that we had. All I'm saying is you're missing up the chance to look at a glorious nation take on England.
You know what? I sat here on Friday night, and it was about 5 o'clock, and I just sat down. I thought, you know what? I just can't be asked to do the England-Malta game. And then when I watched the first half, I was so glad I didn't. And Dave, I think, watched about 10 minutes before he gave up. And then this one, look, I know you do get... Okay, from our point of view, Dave, we have got Italy in the group. So there should be some decently stiff competition there. But when you look at things like Gibraltar, and Malta haven't got a point... I mean, it must be demoralising for them. And I still go back to the point of, isn't it worth having a separate group to put the poor teams like Malta, Gibraltar, Scotland, putting those sort of teams in there that, at least then one of them's got a chance of getting to a tournament.
It's the way the world's going, isn't it? I mean, you obviously haven't followed the World Cup cricket, and neither have I, to be honest, but... we've got teams in there. Well, there's teams in there that shouldn't be there, and it becomes
England.
What is it? Yeah, well, yeah. It's been 50 odd days, is it? The cricket,
48-day tournament.
Yeah. I mean, that's outrageous. That is really, and we knew India were going to be in the final. What we didn't know is how good the Aussies were going to play when they were crap for most of the tournament.
Who won it, by the way?
Australia.
Oh, did they?
Well, no. I need to correct Dave. Australia didn't win it. Travis Head just became channeled in is Brian Lara and won it for them. He scored a 200-odd not out against Bangladesh and helped them cruise over the line to India, who, I'll be honest with you, minus a few glitting performances, India actually weren't that good.
Not on the final, but
welcome to test.
No, but it weren't that good against us. We were just even worse. But hello, welcome to LTITB Cricket.
I'm going to say welcome. But Brad, what would be worse, having to play the likes of Malta and Gibraltar in these in these, because if we don't get through with that group, all right, I know Italy. Are going to come second. Technically, you say they maybe should have won it, but I just can't get excited by the qualifier, because if we do not qualify out of these groups, there's something bloody wrong.
Yeah, a lot wrong. First of all, I can't remember the last time England had such a, I don't want to say easy group, because obviously Italy is in there despite their downfall. But I haven't seen a side. Yeah, I can't remember the last time England had a group this easy and didn't qualify out of it. It baffles me. But then it's groups like this that piddle me off. I'll try and limit the swearing and minute it for you, Chris. But the thing that gets me is, and I know people going uproar saying, "Oh, you can't do that then because blah blah blah," but why don't we mix up the groups? Because how does this benefit anybody? Because it doesn't benefit England. Oh, well, so we beat Malta 2-0. Well done. We matched the bare minimum of expectations.
They scored, and then you look at for us.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of them to help out. But my point still stands. Where does that benefit Malta? Oh, we've got England and Italy in our group. Well, we haven't got a chance. You either need to subsidise the group, so a team like Malta and your Hungaries and your Gibraltars actually stand a glimmer of a hope, instead of being in a group where they look up and go, "Oh, Germany, France are in that group. Brilliant. Well, we're not getting out of it. We played 18 qualifiers, beat ex-Pakistan and all that." to get there, and they're just not doing it. These groups are pointless.
I agree. But then, Dave, we say then is the best thing not to give them a couple of their own groups.
Well, I think if I played for Malta, I'd probably be excited about playing at Wembley.
Yeah, that's what they say, isn't it?
And that's really what it's about for them. But they didn't do football any favours.
But would you get more?
But you wait to the World Cup, Chris. You wait to the World Cup when there's going to be Christ knows how many,
what I'm saying
32
is,
teams.
Would you be more excited if you were a Gibraltar player? Would you be more excited about going up against France in a qualifier or playing possibly in Germany next summer in the finals? What would excite you more? Because you could get England or Germany or France in there.
Yeah, and I think the whole point of finals is it's the best teams, but it's not going to be, is it? It's going to be, we're going to just spread it out so that anybody can get there, and that's going to devalue the finals as well. I mean,
that's a fair
finals
point.
used to be 16 teams, didn't it?
Mm.
You know, now it's going to be 32 at least. It's rubbish. It's just typical finance.
Well, it is
money
totally.
for FIFA.
It is.
Yeah.
And do you not think then, Brad, that really international football is becoming like league football, as in the Premier League, the Bundesliga, Liga, La Liga, where 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams dominate? It's going to be the same in world football.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's no way to change that in a way that you can do slowly over time in elite football. Because in elite football, if you've, say, got a player that's really getting on your nerves because every time you play against him, he scores past you, and your club starts doing really well, you might just go out and spend 40, 50, 60, 80, whatever the British, the Premier League tax includes on it, million to buy him, because might rather have him scoring for us than against us. That sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of thing for it. But also, you then look at it and go, well, Gibraltar can't do that. So why don't we limit it? Why don't we do what you're suggesting, Chris? Why don't we bracket it? I know we have like different competitions for different continents of the world, because you don't have all the Asian teams playing in the Champions League. They have their own Champions League. You have different continents to play in their own Champions League because they never gain enough reputation to play in the Champions League. Yeah. Now, I'm not suggesting you have like a B Cup World Cup or anything like that. What I'm suggesting is maybe we just go, here's a table of 5. Here's a table of 5, and we'll spread that out throughout the 30, 35, 40, whatever, how many teams you want to put in it as a qualifier to narrow it down to 32. However you want to go about it, and you only play each other once. Because I am sick. I don't know about you guys. I'm not sure about anybody in the comments, but who is getting sick of this? Leicester play a game. But now they can't play for 2 weeks because England have got to play Malta in a friendly. But then they'll play for 3 games, but then they've got to play Germany in a friendly. Well, then they'll play for 2.5 games, and then half the players will go missing because the African Cup of Nations kicks in, and then they've got another. It needs to be diluted, and it needs to be played in a more realistic manner, because we have had 4? I might be wrong. Maybe I'm overstimulating the numbers here, but I feel like we've had 4 international breaks, and we're not even halfway through November. And we've got a African Cup of Nations tournament, which isn't news to anybody that happens at Christmas time, kicking off in a few weeks' time. Why?
We've always had that, haven't we? We can't say, well, we're going to have our World Cup in the summer, but you can't have your African Cup of Nations in January. It's like, what do we do is then make them have it in the summer, and when it's blazing hot, and they can't. And it's too hot to play, because none of these, or a majority of these players that play in the African Cup of Nations aren't actually native to those countries, and as much as they play so to get here in France or wherever, so to then go and play in that sort of heat, we know what it was like in Qatar.
I was going to say, we had the World Cup in winter. What's the difference?
What a cock up it is, isn't it?
Total, but.
I think they're African Cup of Nations. And look, we know it's there. Don't buy bloody African players if that's going to be a problem for you. And why are we buying African players? Because probably they're cheaper a lot of the time than European players. But look, anyway,
I think I agree with sort of agree about the B World Cup or disagree with Brad about it. I think we should have a B World Cup. I think that'd be a better value than it would doing what they're doing now. And also, I think is that your doorbell?
No, someone's cooking.
I think we should include the world for qualifying. Why do Europe? Why do Asia? Why do you got planes now that can travel places in a day, and the only big issue would probably be Australia. But you get to America in 5 hours, can you, or 10 hours? I mean, what's the problem?
It would certainly make it more interesting. You can imagine a qualifying group with Germany, England, Brazil, Argentina.
Yeah, of course it would. And make it so that it means something, not, and have Gibraltar playing San Marino or the others, have them in a separate competition so that they can actually win something.
League, don't they? They've got that split into tournaments.
Yeah, of course.
But we've all. This has taken us to the point of why we're not covering England, North Macedonia, despite Brad, begging me to because of his.
You cannot call it a World Cup finals if they have teams that shouldn't be there in it, and that's what's going to happen now. And everyone will lose interest. Everybody.
You see,
because
to me,
why would you go and watch England in a group with San Marino and Gibraltar and all that lot in a finals?
Why would you watch the Premier League with Luton in it?
Well, I don't.
No, but
Luton fans would.
We were still there. You would do.
Yeah, but that's.
Are we talking a male Gorinda here?
Well, I'm Gorinda. I'm Premier League.
We found her, Brad. We found her.
Mrs. Gorinda will be so happy.
I think, generally speaking, though, teams like Luton, Burnley can beat the mid-table teams. I know they haven't yet as such, but Luton are getting better. They're starting to pick up points. Liverpool at home, they should have won. So let's not knock them too much. It's not like Gibraltar.
And Brad, North Macedonia beat Italy.
Yeah, of course. So they're massive.
So
like I said,
England.
technically, I said they'd be European champions. When I spoke back then, I meant as in they'd beat the European champions. So it worked out in the end. But no, I kind of. Yeah, I have to kind of disagree a little bit with what you're saying, though, Chris, because I kind of agree with Dave. I think if your team's not playing and you've got Liverpool, Luton on Sky, and you are not a Liverpool fan, you can't tell me you didn't watch that game going, I'll watch it, but the second Liverpool go 1 or 2-0 up, I'll turn it off. Because you did. You would have been silly not to have at least watched it in the hope that Luton snuck themselves in front or held on for a draw. I was watching that game because I was at my dad's, so I had no choice really because he put it on. And I wasn't going to sit down and watch it, but I thought, you know what, I'll give them 20 minutes. I'll put them on. If you tell me, though, I'm glad I did. They were robbed in a way. Mm-hmm. But if you tell me, oh, yeah, by the way, I don't know, England are playing Malta. Well, you got your answer already, Chris. I didn't watch it. I couldn't give a rat's ass about it because I don't care because they should win it and it's embarrassing if they don't. And I'll go to social media and watch them all fall apart on there about it. But if Luton put up a surprise and a fight against Liverpool, I'm kind of more intrigued to watch it because it's just funny. I watch it for the chaos and drama, mate.
So then, Dave, I'm going to come back to you and then we'll move on to Leicester. Greece won the European Championships. Denmark did when they hadn't qualified, but they stood in, I think it was for Yugoslavia. It's like Leicester in the Premier League. There's always that chance of,
Who's that? Who's that?
Here is your dog breed of the day.
Hang on. I think Alexa's
Alexa's piping up. She's got an opinion.
Alexa, shut down. Bloody bitch. Sorry,
she had all the answers there, Dave.
Yeah, Alexa, what are your thoughts on England playing?
No.
I had to take my Alexa out of this room because
hang on, I'm going to pull the thing out. That's it.
Well, at least we know somebody there speaks sense. And Dave's frozen now.
Says it all. What? Yeah, Alexa's taking a revenge.
He's unplugged himself. Kathy, you there? Come in. Give him resuscitation. He's unplugged
Iggle
himself.
Piggle, do you read us?
But but there is always that chance of Malta are never going to win it. Gibraltar are never going to win it. But if they get in a group that gets them to the final, who knows? We've seen Wales get to a semi-final as well, so it can happen. That's a very scary look that Dave's got on his face. Would you like?
I know, right?
Would you like us?
And this might be the most time we get to talk while he's not here.
He's probably talking away and just, he's gone. He's gone. God. We've had so much trouble. This morning I was doing the radio show and all my electricity went out.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I lost about half an hour of the radio show. But look, this is what we're going to talk about. If you've got any questions, save them till the end. Depending how we're doing for time, we might add them. I may have to just disappear off camera if my parcel decides to be delivered, which it's Amazon is going to come join the show. We know that. But look, this happened. Everton, wow, deducted 10 points. City, along with Leeds and Burnley, although there's 3 other teams there that haven't sued, which is interesting. Southampton being one of them. Let me start with asking you this question, Brad. Was 10 points enough?
I mean, I think so. I think it was. No, it's. I think the biggest problem is it doesn't matter what answer I give here. People are always going to turn around and go, "Man City, 114, 115 things." That's not my bother. By the letter of the law, they broke the law, and whether it's enough or not isn't the question. I think the fact that they've taken out some actions against the club that's not the big 7. Because you have to include Newcastle in that talk now with their owners and their wealth. It just seems you get punished left, right, and centre, and it's further. All this is done, whether it's justified or not, whether it should be 7 points, 10 points, 20 points, whatever. I think it's kind of irrelevant because all it's done is it's shown the narcissism of the Premier League or wherever it is that's in charge of the department that makes these rules, because it's almost like someone's gone, no, they're not my favourites, but Man City are okay. But Everton, you're in trouble. And
well, I was actually watching
pisses me off.
TikTok before I came live on here, and I hadn't actually particularly searched it. It just came up on my as a recommended video to watch because of what I normally watch, and it was Gary Lineker. He was interviewing some football expert, and as they said, people are saying like, well, why can they do it this quickly with Everton and not so much with, say, Man City? And like he said, Everton have got 1 case against them, and it's been, it was from last season, so it's taken, almost a full year to sort it out. But it was 1 case. Manchester City have got 115 cases against them. That is going to take time. And that's why he said it was taking time. So I kind of get that. So I want to kind of leave Man City and Chelsea necessarily out of it because, everybody is saying that, they've got to start looking over their shoulders and they've got the money and the owners to sort of wrap it up totally, in legal papers. Oh, hang on, Dave's back. I'm totally ignoring him there. Have you plugged yourself back in, Dave?
It died. The laptop's gone. I've had to find another device. So.
Well, I won't ask what device you found.
No, hopeless.
I
think with Man City and Chelsea, you got to leave them out of it.
Yes, I think so. Is that top for me, by the way?
Sorry?
Is that top for me?
Yeah.
So I don't forget your name.
I'm the first one that was on the pile. That's right.
Yeah.
I missed a lot of it because everything fell apart, unfortunately. It was the revenge of Alexa. But I think the problem is Everton have only just admitted it, haven't they? They've kind of denied everything, and they blame COVID, the Russian invasion, everything else. And 20 million, excuse me, it says over 4 years off. Is that 20 million a year, or I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
It's not been clear.
You would think that whatever a Premier League club is finding that sort of money
it's got to be 20 million. Yeah. No, I think that's what they've gone over the top of it, haven't they? The 105 million limit.
Yeah.
But they were, I mean, what bugs me is they were charged 2 months before the season ended last season. And it took over 6 months to open an inquiry. Why? Because teams like Leicester and Leeds and others, it's not just Leicester and Leeds, is it? I think Leeds would have gone down anyway. Maybe. But teams that could have finished higher in the league cost them a couple of million. So, I know you said, is it the right to sue? I think there'll be more than Leicester and Leeds in the queue, and Burnley, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how Burnley stand on it. But
it's interesting to see. Are you still with us, Brad?
I am, but my camera's being a bit issuey.
That's okay. I didn't know you had to go.
You got the same laptop as I have, Brad, have you? It just falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot what I was going to say now. When you look at any legal system in this country, suing or small claims or whatever, you see people that were charged, but it takes sort of literally 3 or 4 years for it to actually get to the court where they make a decision. Yeah,
but this is not a court, is it? I mean, this is an independent tribunal, call it what you like. But the actual charging them, it's not as if they pulled up an issue. They charged them with this 2 months before the end of season. Now, it don't take 6 months to put a panel together and sort it out, especially something like this, which is so important to other teams. I don't think Leicester will sue. I think a lot of it is just press and paper talk. But I think the fact that the Premier League are incompetent, that doesn't help. And people have lost their jobs, be it Leicester and Leeds and other clubs. I mean, was it the Leeds director of football was sacked after relegation or something like that? It goes so deeper than the actual misdemeanor.
They may well have been sacked anyway, obviously.
Well, yeah, exactly. But prove it. You prove that in court. Brendan Rodgers, he kept his job through bad times. So if we'd have kept us up, actually he was sacked, sorry, not Rodgers, Smith and that lot, they'd have been offered the job maybe if they'd kept us up.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris. I just think it's, this has been going on forever. It used to be called bongs in the old days. Now it's overspending. Does it really matter? If rich clubs spend more, does it matter? Leicester showed they can do it without having a massive amount of money. Surely that's the challenge of clubs like Leicester and all the others.
It is. On this point though, Brad, I mean, you look at the table there, and I'm going to have to say, and I'm going to read you something that a good friend of the channel, James Dunlop, who is an Everton fan, he replied, because I did ask him to come on, but he was working, unfortunately. But is 10 points really enough? Do they suffer? I mean, you look at that table now, and what Dave was saying was that had that happened last season, they could well have gone down. Are Everton going to go down this season, even with the 10 points being deducted? No, because I think there's teams, no disrespect to them, like Luton, like Sheffield United, Burnley struggling. Those three are probably going to be the three that go down. So it's almost just like a slap on the wrist, isn't it, Brad?
Yeah, but is that Everton's fault? I mean, it's not Everton's fault that Burnley...
No, but the question was 10 points enough?
Well, yeah, because it's not Everton's fault that there's 3 teams that are severely poor in this division. It's not Everton's fault. They're losing 10 points hasn't put them in a hole that everybody thought it would do. Everton had 14 points. They're actually having a really good season, whether we like it or not. They were, and unfortunately, just because they got deducted 10 points fairly early in the season as well. So, I always think that benefits them as well, because if you get deducted 10 points pretty much straight away or not too far into the season, it doesn't look so bad because you're hoping you've got points on the board, which Everton had. So the detriment effect isn't the case. But you can't just, it's very difficult to turn around and say, oh yeah, by the way, that's not fair. You don't just get dot points. We need to make sure you're bottom and cut adrift. So we're going to have to minus you another 10 points. That would then contradict any other team that goes forward to break FFP rules that isn't your top 7 and get the same punishment. At the end of the day, if certain teams were better in this division, Everton would be on 4 points, and the teams in front of them would be 7, 8 points cut adrift of them, and it would feel like the punishment fits the crime. But then, I just feel like that's the only thing that's stopping people thinking it's not enough.
Well,
it's a standard thing, isn't it?
Well, sorry, Dave, I just want to say this. Okay. So if this happened, the crime happened last season and the season before, where it started, but it was mainly last season. Had they been deducted 10 points last season, they would have been in a different position, because Leicester and Leeds, possibly one of the two of us, could have stayed up at their expense. Probably would have done. Well, we know that we would have done when you look at the table. So the fact that it's actually now taken them till now, when it's a case of, oh, look, isn't it nice for Everton? We can do this, but we can still keep Everton up and keep the bigger club up in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Dave?
That's what it's all about. I think there is a precedent set, though, because most teams that have been fined for a season have points deducted the following season at the beginning. It's happened, Wigan, Coventry, a few others. So it's not unusual. But I think, let's punish them, but let's make it not too difficult for them. But that's not Everton's fault, as Brad said. I mean, that's the fault of the Premier League not to sort their act out 2 months before the end of the season. We knew it, didn't we? We were talking about it, with about 2 or 3 months to go. So everybody knew about it, and nothing's been done until the start of this season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. So it's pointless.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, I think you're crackling a lot, Dave, at the moment.
Am I?
Yeah, because of you, whatever you're on now. Dan,
it's an iPad.
Oh, right. But interesting to see, Dan, what your thoughts are. Do you think Burnley should sue Everton as well? Because Burnley would have probably stayed up the season before had it been or sort of action when it should have done. But this is what James said. Now, say James is an Everton fan, and he said, "Hi, Chris. Hope you're well. Unfortunately, I can't make it on Monday. Mainly, I've been hectic at work. Blah blah blah. Not surprised with the points deduction, and I think we got what we deserve. The fans I feel sorry for the most. Also really pleased that you guys are flying this season. Thank you very much, James." So, yeah, basically, Brad, he's saying that, he felt they got what they deserved.
Yeah, and that seems to be the statement from a lot of Everton fans. They don't like their owners. Their owner is the sole reason they are in this trouble. This isn't a mismanagement. This isn't a club trying to reach beyond their means and throwing money at it. In a sense, this is an owner that is unwisely at times backed the wrong manager to spend money, and then got a high profile manager and then not backed him to do the same. It's very mismanaged business, and it's a shame, because this is something that we've said before. We said this last season, Chris, didn't we? this isn't something we want to happen to the supporters of Everton Football Club, because we know as a club that's gone through the turmoil and the ups and downs of relegations, that it's not a nice thing to go through. But sometimes you feel like a club, for other reasons, this one being their mismanagement of money, their ownership and whatnot, they kind of deserve a bit of bad news. But it's good to see that Everton fans go, look, we broke the rules. We're happy to do it. Maybe it's time other teams fessed up and took their own responsibility, because that's this. Who's ringing now? Sorry, someone was ringing me then. It wasn't that. I'll ring them back afterwards.
Just to say, I am running a poll in the, and I'm beating him because he's more overweight than I am. But I'm running a poll in the chat. Should LFC sue Everton for loss of earnings? It's currently 73% say yes, 18% say no, 9% don't know. So that's how it's when you've still got a chance to have a vote if you haven't yet. Interesting to say, Dan has said here, like you said, it started the year we got relegated, and I don't blame the clubs for pursuing this. Oh, hang on, it's just jumped up on me. If it's true about them receiving another Pine Points deduction, we're coming on to that in a second, Dan. So yes, that they could very well. If we
you're frozen.
See the money, then surely it's got to be seen. The Chelsea and City fans as well. Are you both still with me?
Yeah, you froze a little bit, but you.
Yeah, I'm just going back on my other device to see if.
Right, okay.
Making that noise.
Now, Brad, there, but for while Dave just sorts himself out, you get to a certain age, you know, and you have to sort of do these things. But Brad, there for the grace of God, go. Should we be so high and mighty? Because it wasn't that long ago when we were done for FFP, and we paid a fine and got away with it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. But what we broke was basically borderline limits. I don't think we'd ever broke anything in the substantial, and there was a breathing off period with COVID. So I feel that all things were met in that sense, because it was obviously nowhere near the degree of Everton, and there is a stipulation of depending on its severity. Now, if you're talking peanuts to pounds in the difference, then I think Leicester getting a fine was, the punishment that was given out to them was more because they were going, well, you're nearly breaching it, but you got yourself out of store.
I think this goes back about 7 years, though, doesn't it? When we were in the Championship before.
Yeah, but again, our expenditure, our income, and everything we've gained throughout has probably eased that worry a little bit, to the point where they're thinking, well, okay, yeah, there was a little bit of time when you was in a little bit of hot water. And our books show that the punishment that's due for that is this fine, because it's not a huge overstep. It's like a little overstep in the mark. Whereas Everton, you're talking hundreds of millions over the line. And I don't think there's nothing high and mighty about it. At the end of the day, you're entitled to what you feel you're entitled to, in a sense that there has to be something for you to feel you're entitled to before you can go to it. And Leicester will feel like, whether it's egregion that they got relegated, or whether it's a fact, and all this, on the basis that had actions been taken in the immediate, like you said, Chris, it was only one case. They wrapped that one case up pretty quickly to decide, at the start of November, that we're going to dock a team 10 points after only investigating it fully for about 3 months. So if this was jumped on at the start, then this would have happened, that would have happened. And I do feel that maybe not Southampton, because I feel Southampton may look at it and go, yeah, well, we wouldn't really benefit from Southampton losing, from Everton being docked 10 points for last season, because we were so far off the pace. I don't know, but they maybe feel like they're entitled to something because they were in that situation, just like Leeds. And obviously the season before that, when it all first started being an infraction, obviously Burnley were as well. So I think we're entitled to go for it and see what the outcome is. I don't think it'll be as bad as people think.
No. We're going to come on to the suing in a minute. Paul is saying, I'm guessing an Everton fan. You're most welcome, Paul. I hope you are well. I think you'll stay up this season. To be honest with you, I think there's 3 absolutely worst teams. Sorry, Dan, if you're still in. He said it was on stadium costs, and the hundreds of millions. That is a topic that I have got listed to come into as well. But are you back with us now?
Yeah. I'm back.
What next for Man City? I only want to just quickly touch on this. I mean, Man City have got 115 cases against them. I'm not sure what it is for Chelsea. Look, I think this with Everton, and I think it's the first Premier League club that this has been happening to. It has set a precedent. I think they will be looking over the shoulders now. And when you look at what happened in Scotland and Rangers, they were dumped down 4 divisions.
Yeah. But I think Man City got great lawyers, and that'll be the difference. It'll drag on for years, and that's what will be the problem. Everton probably the same actually. I keep hearing about how complicated it all is. So if it's that complicated, the only people that are going to make money and benefit are the lawyers.
Definitely.
And that's how it will drag on and on and on. I'll be surprised if it's dealt with. That if Everton appeal, do they take the 10 points away for now? And then if they lose, they give them 12 points or 15 points. I'm not quite sure.
They do what they did to Juventus. They'll reinstate it, and then it'll go back to court if it gets taken back there again, and reinstate the same points deduction that they got. That's what happened to Juventus last season.
Mella is in. Hiya, Mella. How you doing? I don't know if Southampton are suing, and that is the quick question, Dave. Why do you think Southampton and maybe Watford and Norwich, were they the other 2 that went down when Burnley went down? Why aren't they coming out and suing, do you think?
Maybe they will. Who knows? And it's very early days, isn't it? I think the question that you have to ask: what about the 6 clubs that were going to break away from the Premier League? Nothing happened to them, did it? Why did
they changed their mind, though, didn't they? Technically.
Well, so what? Why didn't they have points deducted? Everton said we changed our minds. We realised we had to admit that we probably overspent by mistake. I'm sure I saw the Premier League said they didn't do it on purpose.
Maybe that's why they only got a 10-point deduction then.
It all seems ridiculous.
I think they got fined, didn't they? I think the 6 teams got fined.
Yeah.
Brad, do you think the Premier League has... the problem is if you dump somebody down a few divisions, you're then asking for the cooperation of the EFL as well, aren't you? But I don't know if I could see that happening to Man City and Chelsea. It'd be funny if it did.
It'd be right if it did, though, wouldn't it? That's the more integral part. I think it'd be more right, wouldn't it? Because you would back your own words of saying, no, there is no favouritism. There is no one rule for one rule for another. Yes, you can turn around and say, okay. I mean, their breaches also go back to 2010, and we don't know how minimal a lot of these breaches are. There's still a hell of a lot of breaches. We're not talking like 10 breaches here. We're talking 115 breaches. But if the shoe fits, as they say, you want to prove that there's no callous for it, why shouldn't they? What if it turns out that Man City, and I'm going to throw a ridiculous figure out there before someone goes, oh, you're talking out your arse with figures. Okay, let's just say, for instance, Man City get told, we're fining you half a billion for all these outrageous charges, and we're going to relegate you from the Premier League, and you're going to start next season on a 50-point deduction. So no doubt you're going to have to get rid of all these players. You're going to have to release them. You can't sell them because you can't afford to keep them for the time. And they dish out the harshest punishment they think imaginable. And again, I'm going a bit over the top and being a bit dramatic to make it an obvious point. but they get sued $500 million, dropped to League One or Championship, and they get told you're starting next season on -50. So effectively relegating them to League One anyway. And then the next season it'll be -25, and then the next season after that it'll be 12 points, just to accommodate all 115 FFP regulations. Then do it. Then, you know.
I agree totally 100%. But we do know, don't we, Dave, that the Premier League, and we're looking at going, well, actually, if we drop Manchester City and Chelsea out of our division, what all those viewers we're going to be losing.
Yeah, sure. And you know, why haven't they done something like that before? I mean, rugby they do it. There's many a quality to Saracens, wasn't it? Got relegated.
Yeah.
For that problem. So it's not unusual in sport, but it'd be very unusual in the Premier League. They do it in League One, maybe.
Well, I say we've seen it happen to Derby the season, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, Dave, come to you with this one first. Leeds, Leicester, and Burnley are rumoured to have had a meeting about suing. Now, according to the newspapers, and look, you know, I don't know the ins and outs. We're only going off what people are reporting, and we do know what news coverage is like in this country. They have been told that if they sue, apparently a lawyer, whether it's Rebecca Vardy's lawyer or not, I don't know. I hope not. But we've been told that if we sue, we've got a case. But if we sue for the 100 million, that will be laughed at.
Well, so what's the point? Really? I mean, if we sue, we got a case, yeah. But any lawyer would say that, wouldn't they? Because they'll get their cut. You know, on what grounds have they got a case? It's never happened before. There's no history to go back on and say, yes, there's a precedent been set for this. So what's their confidence factor of it? There is none. There absolutely is none. You know, you could start bringing out results then. What about VAR? Well, you know, Wolves have lost about 5 points to VAR. If they get relegated by 3, will they sue VAR or the Premier League for it? And it'll go on and on and on. You know, it's just not feasible, I don't think.
Brad, you know, I mean, there are obviously the phrase they're using is loss of earnings, which is basically what it is, because we've not got enough money we're not getting the same money this season as we would have done if we'd stayed up last season and we were still in the Premier League. The counter argument, of course, is that we wouldn't be getting necessarily well, I think we possibly would still have got Enzo in, but would we be, or we've made all the changes that we've had to because we've dropped down?
Well, that's a wonderful thing, hindsight. It's wonderful to think, as Dave said it earlier, would we have stuck by Smith and brought back the nostalgia that was Craig Shakespeare? You'd probably think he would have done that. Now, would Craig Shakespeare have kept or brought the talent in that we've seen come through the club since his departure? Again, you'd have to enter an alternate universe to find out. But the expression is in football is you know, you have a world belief in football in karma that eventually, you know, what comes around goes back around. And I just want to kind of he's doing me head in, but I want to bring a point round back to what Paul Hewitt said about why damage the reputation in your Premier League by getting rid of two big sides. Juventus, AC Milan, I'm pretty sure Lazio, someone else, all relegated from Serie A. All relegated from Serie A. They regrouped, they took the point deduction, they took all the money things because they broke the fucking law, you moron, right? They still had followings. Fans still turned up at the gates. It ain't like Man City are going to implode by being in League One. They'll just start back in the 90s again, where they should be if they're breaking rules.
I don't think you were calling Paul a moron there, were you?
No. That just slipped out as a word. But my point is, it's happened elsewhere, and it has an effect for the right reason.
And it's happened in Scotland as well.
So It's happened elsewhere, and they've all recovered from it.
Paul says there, if Maddison had scored the penalty against us, you would have stayed up. That's not our fault. No, it isn't. And over.
To be honest, Chris,
we deserved. I'm not saying that
we deserved it anyway, didn't we?
You should be relegated and we should be automatically taken back up. I don't agree with that. There's an echo again somewhere. So I don't think that you can turn around and say, well, look, we're just going to dump you at this point into the second tier. I think that would be a bit over the top for what you have done. It's an argument for Man City and Chelsea, but had you all then still gone down, Paul, I think you would have got a reduction possibly off the EFL. Sorry, Dave, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was just saying, we look back on last season. I mean, we blew it big time. We didn't deserve to stay up. We know that. We said it all along. And I think this just makes it messy. And I think clubs have got to be dealt with because we didn't buy players to try and stay in the fair play rules. So, everybody should. What my argument is, why did it take so bloody long to figure it out? I mean, they must have known how much clubs were spending. I mean, the Premier League runs it. So you're telling me they didn't know what was going on? Because I bet if we'd have shed loads of money that we shouldn't have done, we'd have soon been sorted out. But where's UEFA on all this? I thought they were the ones that were watching us as well.
As well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because they were watching
Everton. Everton weren't on that list, were they?
They weren't, but they weren't in Europe.
True.
On that one, we were being watched, and UEFA's.
It was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, UEFA's guidelines on FFP is more stringent than the Premier League. To be fair, that's why we didn't spend the money that we did last summer. But so I don't think that we. I'm not saying that we should be automatically swap places with Everton. Not at all. What I'm saying is though that we are worse off because we've dropped down a league. And would the question that we will never know, we won't ever know, Brad, is had Everton stuck to the rules, would they have stayed up anyway? That's one of that's the thing with this, I think, isn't it? There's so many ifs, buts, maybes.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of them to take into account, and it all depends how far down that rabbit hole you're willing to go. I'm afraid how much of a deep dive are you willing to go into it and look at every possible scenario. Look, we've always sat here, and even before it became a thing, a reality for us. We came here and we've always said we have not played good enough to stay up this season. And unless something dramatic happens in these last 8 games, 10 games, 6 games, 3 games, and it kept getting lower and lower and less up to us. And we always said there is no blame on our relegation except for us.
Yeah.
Now, people, what certain people are taking this out of projective is, as much as I hate Maddison for missing that penalty against Everton, I don't blame us missing that penalty for relegation. We were bad collectively over 38 games to go down. But I'd like to throw it out in a different perspective. Imagine you're somebody you're struggling at a workplace and things aren't going really well for you and you're struggling to hold on this job and you're on your last warning with the place, and just as you start taking a little bit of a respite, you start improving and the pressure's off you a little bit, somebody's doing a little bit suspicious elsewhere and they're suddenly becoming really good. The person who was just below you, who they were thinking of sacking ahead of you, is now suddenly the best person in the workplace, and he's suddenly done it and you don't know how. And it turns out he's been cheating the codes in the system and programming the computers faster, and he's been doing it all illegally, but you still get the sack out of the two of you. That's when it's kind of looked upon and going, okay, well, I don't really blame you for me being in a position that I was up for the sack anyway, but why am I still getting sacked when you're not? And I kind of get it. And the problem is the Premier League, or wherever it is again that has made this decision, Everton, have made it 18 months too late for it. Because again, what happens if Everton get deducted 10 points last season? Well, it might have resurged them. They might have gone on a 10-game undefeated streak. They might have won 9 and drawn 1 and thrown away from it. And Leicester might have got relegated before they even kicked a ball against West Ham. So again, these hypotheticals are easy to throw around in a dead straight scenario where nothing moves, but you don't know how it's going to affect Everton. Sean Dyche might be looking at the situation now and going, all right, we'll just keep going. We managed 10 points more than what we had without them. A win takes us out of the bottom 3. We're no worse off than where we were before this deduction came in. You can only take it on the front of what's in front of you. It's just how it is.
You can imagine the fans, can't you, at Goodison? The mood they'll be in and the support they'll give their team. There won't be any booing or anything going quiet like they have done at home. They'll be up for it all the way through, just to spite the Premier League. So, yeah Brad's right. This is why I think it's all nonsense, really. Because, we were crap from the first game of the season, Brentford. We had about 5 decent games all season, I think. And that was it. So,
But like I say, Paul obviously is coming in. No, I haven't read the 42 pages. But if I can't sleep tonight, I may well do. But look, we're not having a go at Everton fans, and I've nothing particularly against Everton. Everton, not one of the teams that I hate for any reason. Can't say I love them for any reason, and they were lucky to stay up the last 2 seasons, just as you could argue we were when we did the Great Escape. But what I'm saying is, and I do not want in this particular instance, Everton to be swap places with us. I don't want that at all. All I'm saying is that we have suffered because of this. Now, whether it was a mistake or whatever, we have suffered financially by dropping out of the heaven that is the Premier League into the second tier. Financially, it's not as and you look at the players that we've had to get rid of to try and balance the books. So, I just wonder what would have happened if we had stayed up. The interesting,
Chris? Sorry, Chris. You know what? I think the Premier League should reimburse us. That they should pay us as if we were still there. That would solve everybody's problem.
Could you argue that the parachute payments?
But it's still not the same, is it?
No.
Else we wouldn't be suing them or thinking of. I don't think we will. But at least we're having a chat.
This, as Ali says there, it is compensated. It's not swapping places or anything like that. The commission also stated that we didn't gain any sporting advantage on the overspend.
Well, that's a bit flippant, isn't it? How do they know? How does anybody know either way? We could have signed if we'd have not played to the fair play rules. We could have signed donkeys. In fact, we did, didn't we? At some stage.
It's like saying though, Paul. Like Red Bull had something. No, let's say Ferrari had something to their Formula One car that suddenly makes them win. But they don't win. They actually come second or third, so they might not have made themselves any better, but they're still breaking the rules, and that's the thing. Paul, maybe Burnley should, but this isn't a Burnley channel, so I can't argue on behalf of Burnley. Brad, the interesting thing is, I'm going to read this out to you here, that David Phillips, KC, ruled back in May that Leicester have a case for compensation. So that was David Phillips ruled that we have a case for compensation. If they are to formally make a claim, they have 28 days from Friday, November the 17th to do so. A second independent commission would decide the amount if Leicester see their claim approved. According to the Daily Mail, incoming new Everton owners, because of course they've just been sold and bought out, 777 partners will not be willing to fund such compensation payouts, which could be as high as 100 million. However, the same newspaper reports a claim that high is also seen as wildly optimistic. They've also said 777 that they would go into administration. So then they would be docked 9 more points by going into administration. I mean, you've got to, have you not, Brad, feel sorry for Everton, because it's the what was he called that owned Everton before, that absolutely just ran them so badly.
And the fans knew it as well, didn't they?
Yes.
I mean, the fans are always the ones that suffer. Always. I mean, they didn't overspend. They spend, to give the club benefit. But we all love football. We all love our team. We're all biased towards our team. But it's not ever, unless there's riots, it's not the fans' fault.
No.
And yet we always pay the price. That's the annoying bit.
That's the thing, isn't it? It is. Brad, would you agree with that? Don't know if Brad's there. He's on mute at the moment. Don't know whether he can unmute himself. Oh, here we go. Brad.
I'm going to see if I can get my camera working. There we go. This ugly thing's back on screen. Yeah, I agree.
God, no, go off screen quickly. Oh, God.
There you go. I saved you all. Although I do look weird with 3 chins. Probably put the worst on, have a shame. But yeah, I do agree. Look, this isn't a vendetta against Everton, the football club, Everton, the players, and Everton, the fans. It's just a situation that is what it is. At the end of the day, if Richard Branson was to buy a company that was going to get hit because of previous misdemeanors, if you will, then even though they're not his responsibility, he's buying the responsibility of that club. So if that business was then going to get told, okay, you're now being sued and made liable for £150 million worth of damages, he has 2 choices. Do exactly what it says on the tin, appeal the decision, try and get it reversed, or at least the sum decreased to what he has to pay out, or he comes in, he makes the necessary changes he needs to with sackings or whatever, and then he pays the 150 million. Now, if this club or whatever it is, this business venture does come in and has brought Everton from the name who Doug types and I shall not try and pronounce, then that's on them. They have to decide whether they've got the financial money and the stability to be able to go, okay, what's the worst case and best case scenario for us if we buy Everton, given their current situation? Worst case is 3 teams are suing you for about 100 million a pot. They'll probably get somewhere between 50 to 100 million each. So let's call it 150 to be nice. And the best case scenario is they take us to court, their appeal falls on flat ears, and we don't get any more further debt. And then you can put money in to correct the bank balance and to sort out the original issue with the club. And if they still think that's feasible for them to do, then that's on them to take it over. I don't not sympathise with them. What's parachute payments got to do with
Brad, sorry, you're jumping ahead. I'm going to come on to that in a second.
Anyway, sorry, just because I saw it out of the corner. Yeah. Sorry, but that's all on them, and it's up to them to take that responsibility on.
Just to raise that point, Paul, first of all, going into administration would have been better, only a 9-point deduction. This is on top of your 10-point deduction, not instead of, because we would not have sued until we knew what you'd got your points deduction. So the 9 points will be on top of the 10 points. And just to say, the points deduction, the parachute payments, if we were to get pushed back, if we were to say, right, Everton, we're going to knock you down and we're going to put Leicester back up, and why should it be Leicester and not Leeds or anybody like that, then yes, maybe there's an argument for that. But the interesting thing is, Paul, and you said to me did I read the commission? Well, do you know your rules on parachute payments, Paul? Because I don't think you do, because we actually don't get a parachute payment this season. Like Burnley didn't get a parachute payment last season, because we still get the Premier League payment that we would have got for finishing 18th. If we don't go up this season, then next season we get the parachute payments. So I would put it back to you. You said to me, had I read the commission report? I would say to you, have you read your Premier League rules? Because neither of us obviously have done from that. Because if you go straight back up, as let's face it, we might do, Burnley did, Burnley do not then qualify for any parachute payments. That money would then be split between every single team that's in the second tier. It's distributed like that. So if we go back up, Coventry, Blackburn, Bristol City, Millwall, they're all going to benefit because they will get a share of what our parachute payments would have been over the next 3 years. But it's a mess, isn't it? At the end of the day, guys.
Yeah. This David Phillips guy, QC, who seems to think we've all got a case, be interested in how much money he'd get as a fee. Because he also acted for Leeds, didn't he, many years ago? And unfortunately, Wigan. Was it last year or the year before they got deducted shed loads? So I'm not quite sure I trust his judgment, although he's supposed to be respected. But, you know, I don't know. I just think let's get it all sorted out, get it over with, and we'll get promoted this year and, you know, we'll be back to normal. I don't know.
I don't think we do, Paul, because we get 100% of what we would have got for finishing 18th. So where's this 55% come in? 155%?
I always thought the parachute payment was the following year.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because
we do get Sky money because Sky are doing the championship now.
Yeah, we get whatever we got for finishing 18th. Leeds would have got whatever they got for finishing 19th. And even for finishing 20th, Southampton, you get so much money. That's what we get this season.
I do wonder if this is just, you know, a bit of camouflage, because the main point is that other teams will then realise they just can't get away with it. And I know you don't want to talk about Man City and Chelsea, but it will certainly be panicking them when they see what Everton have been given, rightly or wrongly.
It should do.
It should do. And if it does, then I can't see this, because in 3 or 4 years' time, people will possibly have forgotten it about Everton, maybe, and you know the appeal might even still be going on then.
Yeah.
And Chelsea and Man City will do what they did last time, get away with it. I mean, Chelsea's argument is different, isn't it? It's about contracts. That's why they can do it. They just move a contract to 7 years or 10 years or whatever they want. And nobody's got the guts to actually confront any of these sides with it. But Everton, you see, they're in a bit of a turmoil anyway with their owners. So let's have a go at them and show we've got teeth.
Everton aren't, though, are they, Brad? They're not. No disrespect to them, but they're not seen as a big club these days.
No, they're not. And it's weird saying that, because not long ago they were knocking on the pinnacle of the European door, weren't they? They were in Europe. David Moyes had got them in there, and they were up there. Surprisingly enough, funny enough, I think they were up there with Southampton, weren't they? I think them, Southampton, and maybe Newcastle were up there for a few seasons, finishing 6th, 7th, and 8th, and they were scraping into Europe. I say scraping into Europe like it's such a bad thing. I sound like I'm making them sound like they survived at relegation. They certainly did not do that, and they were a side that looked like they were a side that were finally going to get reckoned with. You know, Walter Smith, who did a fantastic job, by the way, but he was keeping them neck under, you know, head above water by the barest of margins, and so was David Moyes for a while in his Everton career. So, but they aren't. And unfortunately, that comes down to whether you say it through gritted teeth, with a laugh or a joke, or with seriousness. The Premier League have the favourite 7, don't they? So they're never going to be seen as a big club. Even Brighton, who are gallivanting around Europe, if you'd have told Brighton fans 10 years they're gallivanting around Europe, they'd have told you to turn the PlayStation off and go to bed because you're drunk. But they're not a big club. We weren't a big club, and we've won the league. And I'm not saying that to kind of go, man, we've won the league. I am a little bit, I can't lie. But you know what I mean? We've won the league. We've got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We played in all 3 aspects of the European competition. All right, one of them, granted, is a rebirth and a rebrand of what was the Intertoto Cup, or I think that's what it was called. But we played in all 3 respective brands of Europe, and we're still not a big club. It's very difficult now to be considered a big club, and it goes back to what we've all previously said. Like I said, through gritted teeth, joking, or seriously, we've said there is a favouritism in decision makings, and it does make you wonder why Everton haven't gone. And maybe they could turn around and go, well, hold on a minute. You throw the book at us, fair enough. We'll take the 10 points, fair enough. That's law. That's the law you've set. We broke it, fair dues. Haven't you got 115 other cases to get through first before you get to ours if you're talking about time consuming?
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Why are Chelsea and Man City? I know they've got lots of breaches, but why not start fining them for the ones they can prove?
Or Everton seen as an easy target, Dave?
Yeah,
they are. They're an example to be made.
Yeah, of course they are. And that's where the Premier League have always got it wrong. Else why? I mean, did anything happen to these renegade clubs who threatened to break away? Because they only didn't break away because the fans eventually, you know, that's the only reason the fans revolted against it. But if they hadn't, then they'd have gone up and said, "Screw you, Premier League, we're off." But they got away with it.
I think they got fined, but I think that was. And they signed to say that they wouldn't do it again.
Oh,
wrote
yeah,
100
right.
lines out.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. It says it all.
But I think basically, for me, no, I don't. I mean, no, I don't think we should sue, to be honest with you. I don't think there's much to be gained of it. It's a distraction. Let's just get ourselves back in the Premier League, get the money that we get by going up, and enjoy ourselves again. So for me, I've got to say no. I don't think we should sue them. Brad, yes or no? Dave, while Brad's deciding, yes or no?
No.
No. Brad?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
No, it's a debate show, so we've got it's two no's and one yes. It's nice to have differences of opinion. I want to quickly touch on before we get onto the silly part of the evening, although some would say we've been having that for the last hour. Don't know if you saw it. 6 managers who almost became Leicester City boss, and these surprised me. We've just mentioned him actually, the first one, David Moyes, Brad. Back in 2000, while Moyes was a young manager in his first job at Preston, he was recommended to Leicester City. That came from John Holmes, an agent who had represented Lineker, Shilton, Heskey. I think he also did Lineker as well.
John Holmes was also Leicester City chairman for a short time.
Is it the same one, was it?
It is, yeah, it is. That's how he got the job.
Moyes was interested in coming to Leicester, where he would have replaced Martin O'Neill, but we'd already decided to take on Peter Taylor.
Oh, we lost out there.
What might have been, Brad?
Yeah, that leaves a sour taste. I know Everton, I know Man U fans, and that won't speak too highly of him. But back then, David Moyes in charge of Leicester after Martin O'Neill. Maybe we should have taken the Alex Ferguson route. I don't like you either, Paul. No. Chris didn't give me a paragraph to answer you because I would have said I would have sued him, but not for the points deduction worth amount. That's why I was up in an hour over it, Paul. I wouldn't want you to get deducted more points, but I do think you owe us money just because I want some. I won't get any.
Well, John Holmes went on to say, Dave, I helped him get Martin O'Neill when he left. He said the guy they wanted was David Moyes. I spoke to David, he was interested. But at that point, they'd already appointed Taylor. I think, that's a case of, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I think you say to that one, don't you?
I don't see why Man United fans wouldn't like Moyes. He had no chance there.
He had. Who wanted to follow Alex Ferguson?
Well, exactly. And he was not given enough time. And he's doing a better job than the guy now.
Yes. I mean, to me, you've got to, I think, when you look at Liverpool, when they dropped off from their glory years, they've never really got them back. Let's be honest with you. So why Man United thought they were just instantly going to get them back, I don't know. Dave, I'll come to you with this one first. Harry Redknapp, in his autobiography, Always Managing, Redknapp revealed that Leicester wanted him to replace Peter Taylor as manager. It He was offered the job, and his backroom staff, Frank Lampard, sorry, Brad, and Dave Bassett, had even agreed their deals. It was on his journey back home from discussions with Leicester that Redknapp had a change of heart. He wrote in his book, when I drove home from Leicester on the Friday night, it took me 5 hours to get back to Dorset. So, of course, he lives just down the road from me. Not that I live in Sandbanks, but down the road, metaphorically. All the way stuck on the M1, I was thinking, I don't fancy this. I mean, I wanted him, I think, at the time, over the years, I've said, let's go for Harry Redknapp. But looking back on it, he kind of flattered and deceived, didn't he?
Yeah. And you'd think he'd have known how long it would take to get from Leicester, wouldn't you, on a Friday night?
Well, he could have told me, I could have told him.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah. Brad, did we manage to slip one by there? Did we have a lucky break?
I don't think so, because I think at that point he was a very sought-after manager, wasn't he? He was a manager that was doing well. He was on the rise, if you will, and I do feel that maybe we missed out on a manager, but then you have to question yourself to replace Peter Taylor. What was our situation back then? Because we sacked him, and we were in the bottom three. I feel like even when we sacked him, we was nailed on relegation favourites. And if you look at his history, I know Portsmouth and Southampton fans are so terribly fond of him, but he's not got the greatest record, in terms of keeping teams afloat when the proverbial hits the fan, if you will. So maybe we dodged a bullet. I think if it was immediately after O'Neill, I'd be crying into my cereal back then. But maybe then we did dodge a bullet, if you think of it that way.
Yeah. And Paul, thank you, mate. You are welcome. Just found this YouTube channel, guys. It's rather good. Thank you so very much, mate. You will always be welcome in here. Like I say, one of my actual mods is James, who I was talking about earlier, and he's an Everton fan. So everybody is welcome here. Just saying, Italy is 0, Ukraine is 0, and England 37 minutes can't break down North Macedonia. Who knew?
Good side.
Now, Brad, I'll come to you first with this one. This one I nearly fell off my chair when I read. Gary Lineker. It is not known exactly when Lineker was asked to be City manager, but the former Foxes striker knew the gig wasn't for him. Speaking on his The Rest is Football podcast in September 2023, Lineker revealed, I got a couple of job offers, Villa and Leicester did at one point. I'm so glad we didn't. And that's nothing personal. I just don't think... we take on somebody without experience, do we? Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney.
No, I'm very glad that one didn't go ahead and make the move, because I think there's a reason he sits in the Match of the Day studio as a pundit. That's about as far as in close as he should ever get to a touchline if it's not putting on the shirt to go out there and play. And obviously even now you wouldn't want him to go out there and play unless it was for a charitable cause. But less said about Gary Lineker to a lot of Leicester fans as well, the better, I guess. It's not everybody's favourite cup of tea, but even as a die-hard Leicester fan wearing Leicester on his shirt week in, week out, I don't think he would have been a wise appointment. And I would assume this would have been in and around the time that we were yo-yoing between divisions, giving our best West Brom, if you will.
Yeah. Do you think, Dave? I think we again dodged a bullet there. You're on mute, Dave.
Didn't need to tell him that. We could have said good answer, Dave, and he'd have been dead chuffed.
No, you're still on mute.
It's the big mic button.
That one.
No, the other one.
Don't tell him. He doesn't know that Cassie's got a big mic.
Wow.
He comes in when he goes up to Leatherhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, great answer, Dave. Great in-depth. Great put. This is why we have him here, folks.
It is, yes.
I was all for Steve Walsh doing it, mate.
I mean, I'm just thinking 2 words, Dave, and you'll remember him, Frank McClintock.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, ex-players, you see. This is what I'm saying. Then, Dave.
I thought last season was bad, but that 77 season was a nightmare.
That was awful. Now then, in 2007, Chairman Milan Mandrić had just sacked Martin Allen and was looking for a replacement.
Another mistake.
A host of names came up in the recruitment process, but one left field candidate suggested was, can you guess who it might be?
Then? No. Wasn't Walshy, was it?
Can I have a guess?
You can have a guess.
A left field candidate, right? Can I ask? Was it a manager that's known by name back then, or are we talking so left field? It's not even potentially a manager.
He wasn't a manager at the time. He was an assistant manager.
Oh, assistant manager. Sammy Lee?
Oh, I do know, actually.
Shut up. No, don't cut him out. Tell the answer quick. No.
Sorry. I'll go on mute.
He's Googled it.
No, I mean, he's had his guess. I'll hand it back over to you, Dave.
Go on, Dave.
Did you say Sammy Lee? You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because he has been linked to Leicester. I've forgotten now.
You give him one job.
Oh, God. Look, I'm trying to hold
so long and muting himself, he'd forgotten what the answer was.
I'm trying to hold the laptop up. I'm drink a cup of tea, get mute. North
You've got nothing,
Macedonia.
you can just stand it up again.
Hey, North Macedonia have scored.
Serious?
It's serious.
Oh.
The mighty Macedonia, we're gonna win the thing. A tournament where the tournament kings. Macedonia! I don't know if that is the
hang on. He's missed a penalty, but he scored the rebound by the looks of it. Guess what his name is? His name's Bardi. Jamie Bardi.
Oh, for God's sake. Should mute him.
I'm going to mute you because they're getting echoes off him now. So oh, no, it's not. Okay, look. No, it was Brendan Rodgers.
Oh.
Yes. Rodgers would eventually obviously come on and manage City 12 years later. He spoke about what had happened. The story was I was working at Chelsea in the reserve team, and I got a call. I think Martin Allen was
I remember that.
At that time, I think they were looking for a young manager. Oh my God! Who knows though? It might have been a different Brendan Rodgers at that point, Dave.
See, I was on mute then, and I was still getting echoes.
I blame you, Dave. I think it's still you.
I'll blame Kate.
Yeah, she's not here. She's in Vietnam.
Oh. No, so are they playing tonight then?
Yeah, she's coming on live in a minute.
Yeah, it won't be raining.
But it might have been different then. But do you think we were wrong to get rid of Martin Allen? I liked him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we were. He was brilliant. You know, he was abrasive, of course he was, but he knew what he wanted, and he would have been a manager. And I think the last game showed it all. I mean, he got the fans behind him big time, and we did play well. And then that was it. He'd gone next day. So he knew he was going, but I don't think we did as supporters at the time. And that was a big mistake, yeah. But then a guy that saved you out of administration, you think, well, you know, a bit like Top's mistakes last year, maybe.
Yeah,
you forgive, don't you?
You do. I mean, you know, he did stop us going out of business twice, or the second time, I should say, Brad. Yeah, I mean, okay, you know, Mad Dog was more bothered about having blue and white flowers outside the stadium, maybe, than the fact that we needed a new right back, and we had a whole team of left-sided players. We could only attack down one side. Do you think he should have been given a bit longer? I think he just fell out, didn't he? I think it was over Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank.
Yeah.
There was that rumour that never went away that was it Carlisle? Can I remember his name? but we'd signed him and had the
yeah.
bust up in the Forest changing rooms, and it caused him to have I don't want to say a heart attack, because I don't want to just throw that around, but he had something wrong with him, didn't it? It incurred. Basically, there was reports that he punched him. There was reports that he didn't, and I think the whole farcical. It would just became easier for him to move on than it did to Leicester to back his corner, just in case it turned out that the reports were right, because that was where that all stemmed from. Because Dave was right up until that cup game. There was no inkling of Martin Allen being the 26th manager in 2 weeks we were going to get rid of, because we were a bit of a joke and a circus back then. But I think that incident is what played a big part in it.
Watford Mark II. I'm not going to do Jesse Marsh because he's quite recent in all our memories, so we know about Jesse Marsh.
I can't swear enough to talk about Jesse Marsh either.
No. Sam Allardyce, Brad, was offered the Leicester City job in 2015, but turned it down, and the role instead went to Claudio Ranieri. That's according to Big Sam himself, who was speaking May this year. I could have won the Premier League with Leicester because I turned the job down before Ranieri got it. I was a bit at the end of the season going, why didn't I take that? I don't think we'd have won it with him. Do you, Brad?
Won it with him? We'd have got relegated with him. We had no structure at that club to have changed to Long Ball FC. No. We had no structure, no player, no desire to play that way. Win it is laughable. We wouldn't have stayed up with Sam Allardyce. I was one of the very few that looked at Ranieri and was happy with the appointment. I know he came with a lot of criticism himself because he liked to tinker. But Ranieri, unlike Sam Allardyce, actually has somewhat of a brain. And we've seen that in his career before us and after us. He's done some wonderful things at the club he's at now. I think he helped them win a title in the last game of the season last year. So he's still proving it. And I think Ranieri would have just done exactly the same, which he did, which is sit back, give the lads the confidence, really motivate them in believing in themselves. And that's why we won the league. I know you'd always argue with Toss that it was Pearson's players and that won it, that set us up to win a league. But he just left things as they were, and that sometimes shows the sign of a good manager, a better manager. Allardyce got away with it. Got away with him twice, actually, didn't we? Because he was in talks to become a manager last season when we sacked Rodgers. So twice we got away with Allardyce.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe everything he says anyway.
Well, apparently it was, he handed it into the news desk in a brown envelope. So
So far, Allardyce has missed out on winning the Euros and the World Cup with England and winning the Premier League with Leicester City.
Can I just say, talking about Claudio Ranieri, because everybody was laughing. Now, I've saved this, and I just want to show you this here. I don't know if you can see that at all, but it was when I used to write for the Metro. And there's a thing. Claudio Ranieri would be the perfect manager for Leicester City by somebody called Chris Forian. I don't know who that might be, but whoever it was knew what he was talking about.
Sounds like he did plagiarism, this Chris Forian, probably pinched off someone else's posts.
No. Okay, here we go. Look, have a bit of fun at the end. As the actress said to the Archbishop. Monday Madness. We're going to have this every week because we always have a bit of madness with Dave. Have you remembered your topic, Dave, that you were going to talk about?
Yeah, you won't believe what it is it? It's the Bounty Bar.
Again? Are you still going on about that?
No, but Kathy had a Bounty Bar in the club last night, and there were 2 bounties that size in one packet, and that quite surprised me.
Bounty's been that way for a long time. Do you ever get out, Dave?
I don't eat bounties.
Yeah, but that wasn't the question I asked.
I'm just going to play this for
I was out last night.
Let it go. No, do you not remember? Dave does not like bounties. He doesn't like them in the celebrations tin either.
I'm very, very remembrant of that evening because the show was supposed to be an hour. We ended up going for about 4 hours because Dave would not let it go.
About bounties. My dad who passed away quite a few years ago, he liked bounties, and he used to have those, and there was two. Did it have like a little white cardboard thing inside, like a tray that it sat in?
No, this was
it
just.
did. Yeah, it did.
Well, you
Yes,
might have done
thank
that.
you. Yes.
And
then,
you did.
what do we
You did
think?
used to be able. You did used to be able to get whole bounties, but they were half the size, which is why they've included them. No, but the big bounties was always separate trade. It was always two.
See, I can't be doing with coconut.
You need to get
Well,
out.
coconut can't be doing with you, Dave.
No,
You
probably
think
not.
about that.
It gets in your teeth, doesn't it?
You get on their nerves. I'm just being an asshole to you, man. You're really getting on Bounty's nerves, Dave. I have to tell you this from a Bounty representative. You keep going on about them, you're getting on the nerves.
I quite like the wrapping colour. That's about it.
Oh, well, Dave, you're going to start one of them YouTube channels, aren't you? It's like the Bounty Wrapper, solid 4 out of 10. Taste-wise, none out of 10. Don't like coconut, gets in your teeth. Dave's review.
I am going to have to agree, because I was about to say this, and Ali has come up with this. He likes a Karamak, and I have to say, I love a Karamak. Nestle, what the fuck are you doing discontinuing the Karamak? Do either of you two gentlemen like a bit of a Karamak?
Karamak's nice. Karamak's one of them bars of chocolate, so you wonder why they didn't push him. Because you seem to get Milky Way, Mars bars, Twix, Snickers, Karamak. You know what I mean? Like, there seems to be the big. It's almost like the Premier League of chocolates, isn't it? It's trying to break through, and now they're just kicking it. Maybe we should rename it Everton and watch it resell for them. It's saving the punishment of all the other chocolates that don't get any.
Dave,
I don't even know what it is. I don't know what one is. I've never had one.
He doesn't get out. He really doesn't get out of the house much.
Actually,
have you heard of? Have you heard of Asda?
It's that one, isn't it?
Tesco.
Say that, no? No, you can't.
No.
I've never had one of those. I've never seen one. Seriously, I've never seen them.
It's quite thin, and it's caramel in a bar.
That sounds nice.
It is. It's very nice. But I'm going to
look at
start
this.
this.
I
Sorry,
haven't had a Rolo for years either.
you can still get them.
Yeah.
You know,
Or a
though,
munchie.
Dave, you get a pack of Rolo. You get about 10 in them.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
See, because my body is my temple. You know, I don't eat chocolate much.
Shame it's butter.
He's got a body like a god.
Yeah, there's a lot of these toffee crisp. Remember that?
No, you can still get those. I still eat those.
Yeah.
Tell you what, then I'm gonna each of us a chocolate bar that they don't make anymore that you miss. I am going to go for Trio, and I'm sticking with the caramel thing. Do you remember Trio? Remember that? Caramel in a chocolate. I love it. I love anything with caramel. So for me, Trio is what I miss. Dave?
Do they still do bar 6?
No.
Because I miss them. Seccoins didn't killing me. Sound bad your end?
Let me just see.
That's better.
I've just muted Brad. That's
He's blaming me for it. Oh, sorry, Brad. Come back, Brad. We miss you. Oh, he's back on.
No,
Brad,
no.
Your bar that you missed, your chocolate that you missed.
Bar 6, yeah.
See, there's been a few that have gone that I've not really missed or cared about. I don't understand. I mean, I'd rather them discontinue fruit and nut than most chocolates aside, but that's good.
No, I've got fruit and nut in my fridge at the moment. You can't discontinue that.
Well, don't worry, Chris. If they discontinue it right now, you'd still be able to legally eat it. Don't worry.
Fruit and nut and bounty bars.
Oh, shush you. You're Bounty. You're obsessed. Do you remember Dream Bars, the white chocolate?
Yes.
Yeah, I like them back. I want them back in me establishment.
I can smell Milky Bars now.
That's disturbing.
Oh, the smell of Milky Bar chocolate.
What was bar 6? What was that? Milk
It was
chocolate
like
wafer.
wafer, yeah, and there was 6 of them, obviously.
No, but you know you don't like bars of chocolate where there's more than one.
Yeah. Yeah, bar 6 is a wonderful chocolate. That's better. Thank you. It's like having tinnitus in a thunderstorm.
Oh, Munchies. Do you remember Munchies?
Yeah, they were similar. They were just individual things, weren't they?
Yeah, they had like crunchy things in.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, what was it? There was one that had like a fondant white fries. Fries made it. Do you remember Turkish Delight? Do you remember that, Brad?
So, Turkish Delight can get as far away from this planet as humanly possible. Whatever individual likes Turkish Delight, get an instant red flag in my book. It's disgusting. Get out.
Okay, bye, Brad.
Yeah, he's right on that one.
Oh, both of you. I loved Turkish Delight.
No. I think it's the name of it that put me off. I don't know anything else.
Fries peppermint cream. That was what I loved.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I didn't like that till I got a bit older. That's an older person's chocolate, isn't it?
You really are having a go at me tonight, aren't you? I'm trying to think, because there's the peppermint one, and then I think it was just a normal fondant one. Yeah, the blue one was a small fondant centre. But look, we'll talk. That was a silly topic for tonight, and no doubt we'll do a silly topic again last night. Marathon, that's still around as Snickers Alley. That one. And fruit and nuts. I love a bit of fruit and nuts.
Why do they change the name of things when it's a popular thing anyway?
Opal Fruits.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
Because it was that. It was the EU. I always blame the EU for that sort of thing. That and straight bananas. Anyway, talking of fruit and nuts, I think we should end it here, Dave and Brad. And you work out which one is which.
I'm Dave.
Dave, you are. It says on your T-shirt, Harry. Anyway,
I'm Harry.
Do stay on afterwards because I just want to have a quick chat with you radio-wise. But thanks very much, mate. And I will see you in a week's time.
You certainly will.
Brilliant, mate. Take care. All the best.
See you guys. See you, Brad.
See you, Dave.
And Brad, thank you very, very much. Point earned yesterday for the ladies. I will see you on Friday for the prediction show.
Yes, I'll see you Friday for that, mate. Looking forward to it.
Yep. Brilliant. All the best, mate. Take care.
Take care.
Cheers. Do get over to our sister channel, LTID TV 2. I think Brad is going to be starting up the women's football coverage again and some quizzes as well. So do check that out. LTID TV 2. Please get over there and subscribe and give your support to our sister channel. Nate leaving to Colorado tomorrow morning. See you all in a couple of weeks. Holiday, is it, Nate? Have a good one. Take care, mate, and stay safe. I love this I love this show because we always go a little bit mad at the end. So we've made it official now. Thanks very much to Dave and to Brad. It has been a pleasure speaking to them both. And to sue or not to sue? That is the question. 79% of you thought that yes, Leicester City should sue. 14% of you thought no. I have a feeling a couple of Everton fans maybe have voted in that. And 7 just didn't know. We'll be back 7 o'clock on Friday. Yep, on 7 o'clock on Friday for the Watford preview. And then 9 o'clock on Friday for the Prediction League. Thanks very much now. Thanks, Dave. Thanks to Brad. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you have been doing on your favourite podcast platform. And thank you very much to everybody that has watched and joined in the chat. Take care, and I will see you on Friday. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.